All right, so here's the drawing I'm going to do today. Pretty excited about this one. I think it turned out pretty good. I like her quite a bit, so let's see what's happening here. The first thing I like to do every time I start a drawing, it's that gesture period. It's that first 30 seconds. I'm a big believer in that first 30 seconds. If your drawing's going to work, you get that gesture, you get those basic shapes down, this bell shape for the body, the small head, the medium hair poof coming out there. Like I can look at that even after 30 seconds and think, all right, this is going to work. The shapes are blending well together. The whole idea, the silhouette is okay. And so no matter how many details I put or add or whatever it is, if it doesn't work in that first 30 seconds, in that first general idea, it might not work overall. Whereas if it works in that first 30 seconds and it's looking all right, then all the details in the world will just embellish that, or will just make that initial idea better. I also like to go in, you start big. I do the big shapes. You have the whole silhouette down. Then you go in and you just start narrowing it down, narrowing it down, narrowing it down. I've seen some artists that go in and they'll just draw the whole head and they'll detail it up like crazy. And that's awesome. I tend to skip around a bit more. I'll go from the top of the head where the skull is on top of her hair, down to the hands, down to the dress, down to whatever it is. So just moving around, just whatever feels good. I also like to work in this red pencil. I like that the lines can start off very, very light. It's just a very thin idea of something. I can see it, but it's not permanent yet. And then I can just build it up, build it up, build it up, go darker, darker, darker as I'm more sure of what's going on. Going from rough, going from abstract to just detailed. You just narrow it down each pass you go over it and just keep going. Something I learned doing a lot of figure drawing in college. You would draw the model and just go from, you'd take the whole shape and you just keep narrowing it down, narrowing it down, narrowing it down till you finally got what you wanted. And that's what I'm doing here. I do tend to focus a lot more on the face as I'm going. You want to put a lot of details into the face. That's where your eye's going to rest. That's where everything's going to end up, is just in that face. The darkest lines and the lightest whites should go there, the biggest contrast, because that's where the focus is going to be. That's where you want people to be at. So that face is going to come into focus first before anything else. You don't want to ignore everything else. You don't want to just do faces or anything like that, for sure. But that is certainly where the eye is going to rest on that drawing, is in the face. So a lot of times I will spend most of the time on the face, and certainly that first beginning after I've got that initial sketch going on. So the face is looking pretty good here going in. The bottom of the face there, you can kind of see there's that straight line right across the chin. I love to have straights versus curves. It's a big design principle that you can use. If I have the curve of the cheek and the curve of the side of the face versus that straight bottom there, it gives it some solidity. It gives it some visual interest. It gives it some visual differentiation. You can do that a lot more with more stylized you get. You see a lot of cartoons nowadays and they've got really harsh straights versus really soft curves and things like that. It works well. The more detailed you get, or not the more detailed, the more realistic you get, it's obviously not going to be the exact same. You can get away with a lot of pushing some things. The more abstract you get and the more playful it gets, depending on what you're doing. Hands are something else that needs to be pretty solid. Hands are tough to draw. Hands are weird. They've got all kinds of bumps and creases and curves and things. There's a tendency to hide them sometimes, but everybody knows what a bad hand looks like, even if they can't make a good hand themselves. Really, I go in with the hands. The hair, I love building up texture for the hair. I love just line, 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 line. You'll see me go over several times in this drawing period. I'll go back to the hair and back to the hair and build up that texture, almost like I'm carving it out of the pencil. Just take it and just add a bit more, add a bit more. Parts of it get a bit deeper, a bit darker. Parts of it start to happen there. I'll do that a lot with hair. I'll do that a lot with fur, to use the pencil to kind of create that texture, go with the grain of it or with whatever it is. And that feels really good. Working on the sash here, the belt. I was working on this and I had these three little hanging objects coming off of her belt. And I'm like, what am I going to do with these? And I kind of decided I was going to kind of ingrain these little figures that were, they're screaming, they're in pain, they're, oh no, like she's captured their souls, she's captured their spirits into these little objects that she now hangs off her. She's not a very nice lady, is she? So I like capturing those in there, those little details. It was just kind of fun to do. And that little story elements that start popping up as you get to know the character as you're drawing it. Going on the belt, I've got this big wide belt now going on here versus the thins. You want that visual variety. And then even the belt I broke up with another band across it here. Just going in, adding that visual variety. You want big shapes, you want medium shapes, you want small shapes, you want areas with a lot of detail, you want areas with very little detail, just so that the eye roams around the picture and has all this variety and this life kind of going into it. Going in, solidifying some of those lines, that big solid bottom line, just like the bottom of the chin, the nice harsh straight lines to give it that base, that solidity that's going on. Going into the staff, just going in, detail, from rough to more detailed. What is it? Vague. Vague's a better word for it. Vague to more detailed. Going in and starting to take shape. What's going on there? I'll kind of find these creases or these folds in the fabric and even come in later on and add some texture to those, some patterning to those. On the end of the staff here, I just draw a circle. I have no idea what I'm doing there yet. But sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes you have the whole idea, the picture in your head. Most of the time I'll have that initial sketch idea, and then a lot of the details come in the moment. You kind of just start discovering as you're drawing, which is a lot of fun. There's always the initial idea, there's always the initial sketch, that first 30 seconds, but a lot of it comes later as you are going. More detail to the hair. Like I said, just adding that texture, like some bumps and some dirt in there, some different things going on there. I like it to be wild. You have that initial shape for the hair, but then there's a couple loose strands coming off of it. It's wild and crazy, going off, making its own direction. You can see up near the hair, there was an idea of some feathers coming off of there that I decided not to do. Later on, I just wanted that single one coming up off the skull. Some detail in on the necklace. Love the beads going on there. That adds some small little details where the dress is these big, wide patches. So you have these areas of intense detail and a lot of what's going on versus the flat areas. Nice visual interest. And there, I'm going in on the cuffs, adding in, because of the light pencil, I can just add in this little pattern going in there, this little swirling pattern that can act kind of against those harsh lines of the cuff to just give it a pattern, to give it a texture, something that the dress, has stitched into it, whatever it is. Going in, more hair again. Like I said, I'll go in and do that several times during each drawing. Just add more, add more, add more. The staff, I thought it should be dark. Again, create that visual separation from everything else, the darks versus lights. On that, crossing the body type of thing. Am I finally going to decide what's going on over here at the end of the staff? Nope, I'm going back over. I still have no idea what's going on. And that's okay. Sometimes it's like, all right, something will come out of it. I'll wait till the moment strikes me, till something comes out at me. I have these big areas of dress, so I thought this part down here should have just a bunch of folds to it or a different pattern going on there. Back to the face, get it darker. Make sure that that's the area of highest contrast going in. I like to add quite a bit to the outline. Sometimes I want that silhouette to be very, very noticeable. Like if you squint your eyes down, you get that large shape going in. If you could see my face while I'm drawing, I squint a lot. People have asked, hey, is there something wrong with your eyes? No, I'm just trying to bring it all into focus and just kind of get those big shapes instead of all the details. Put a little cap over there on the end of the staff. I don't even know what I'm doing still probably yet. Oh, now I figured something out. I'll have some floating, glowing light stuff. I still don't know what it is. I kind of liked it in the end. It's like something magical going on over there, something weird. And she has this little staff and it's hanging from there. Going in, adding some detail closer into the head where the hair is more bunched up. Let it kind of flow out and turn more white, but closer to the head. It's got some more texture, some more detail. Going in there, really punching that line under the chin. Really like that straight versus that curve, that sharp shape. That's kind of one of the main ideas I wanted to focus on there. I don't want that to get lost in the drawing. Adding details to the hands, going in, finding those things. It's just getting darker and darker and more solidified. And now this is just the details just going in and whatever the pencil takes me. I like to say you're taking your pencil for a walk. Like when you have a dog and the dog just is kind of going all over the road. He's going left, he's going right. You don't know what he's doing. That's what's going on with my pencil sometimes here. It's just, You're taking your pencil for a walk. It is doing what it wants to do. And you're just letting yourself feel out the drawing, if that makes sense. Really like that. Going in pretty close there. I'll set the pencil down. Wait, no. And that seems to happen. I could work on this drawing forever, or you can just call it done. There's never a point where it's like, I have nothing left to do. There's always more that you want to do or want to have happen. But there it is, pretty much in its entirety, the drawing of the witch. Liked her, thought it turned out pretty good. She was fun to do. She's a fun character. I like her. Should do something more with her someday, figure out more of her story and what's going on. But that's it for that one. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked the drawing. I was pretty happy with it. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, all that techie stuff that needs to happen. I love making these, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed watching the process of what's going on here. If there's any ideas for things that you would like to see drawn, leave a comment. I'll read through those, and I love ideas, and I'll just keep drawing and keep drawing. So if there's something you want to see, maybe we can make it happen. Share it with your friends, tell people about it, and have a good time.